Antuano, the Ivy Rookie of the Year, slides up from midfield to attack. Chad Palumbo, as we just told you, the preseason midfielder of the year nationally, is the opening faceoff controlled by the Nittany Lions. And we're underway, Dave. We talked to both coaches, and okay, do you want to have 2 games under your belt, or do you want the opponent to not have any game film? And they said 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, flip a coin. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't, but don't be surprised if Penn State tries to take advantage of the experience they have through those first 2 games and gets out to an early lead as Princeton looks to gel in their first regular season contest of 2026. Some early season jitters for the Tigers, not unexpected.
Luke Wallstrom carries behind the cage. Cooper Miller, defensive midfielder, as Wallstrom comes topside, turns the corner, and gets the Nittany Lions on the scoreboard.
Exactly what you want to see if you're Penn State, is taking an early lead. Just like I was saying, take the experience, try to get an early shot on a cold
thing on the road. Face-offs, a spot to watch. Colby Baldwin coming in 61%. Reed Gills is 67%. He was the Big Ten Specialist of the Week 2 weeks ago after that opening victory against Colgate.
And that's going to be a stat line to watch, the face-off percentages. Andrew McMeekin, a veteran at the face-off X for Princeton, a strong suit the past few years after Princeton had struggled for the better part of a decade at the X.
Second midfield line, Michael Ferrone feathers it behind the cage. Here comes Lehman, junior out of Ambler, Pennsylvania, up top. Hunter Aquino, all 6'5" of them, dodging downhill, goes low, and it's 2-0 Penn State. How do you stop 6'5", 210 with a head of steam?
You're going to have to slide early, and then you're going to have to replace on the backside. The help's got to be there, too. Princeton tries to slide to collide, but it's just too late. Aquino uses the turf to his advantage, and Penn State goes up 2-0. Princeton's got to get the Princeton team. You keep the ball away from them. Defense, or offense, is your best defense.
Kyle Lehman swings it topside, and it's intercepted. Here come the Tigers running the other way. Couple of two-sport athletes. We talked about Cooper Miller earlier. That was Jackson Green, who's also a starting wide receiver across campus on the Princeton football team. And now quickly into the stick of Nate Kabiri.
Kabiri is going to solidify himself as one of the best set shooters in college lacrosse this year.
Tucker Wade out of the box. Tigers get one back.
Tucker Wade always seems to get Princeton off to a hot start. We talk about Chad Palumbo, the preseason midfielder of the year, and that leaves 19 with an open lane down the middle of the field, and a high percentage shot goes through for the Tigers to get them on the board for the first.
Clock reset to 60 on the restart. Up top, here's Considine, the transfer from Hobart, where he was a captain and 3-year starter, number 41. Penn State trying to get that 2-goal lead back. Antuano, the true freshman who started each of the first 3 games on attack. Now Kyle Lehman, the junior. Lehman defended by Finn Fox, and the 2 new starters on defense. That's a situation to monitor for the Tigers. Shot clock winding down. Here's Considine, goes top shelf and beats Croddick. Penn State gets the 2-goal lead back. Considine second as a Nittany Lion.
Tremendous take to get inside. Take a look here. Goes towards goal line extended, switches to the left hand, avoids the goal mouth, the crease, all that. Beats Croddick before he lands. Clean goal, no question about it. Shortston defense, probably the least experienced unit on the field for the Tigers after the graduation of Colin Mulshine and Michael Bath, who felt like they were here for a decade.
So Colby Baldwin, 3rd season as the Nittany Lions' primary face-off man. He's won all 3 he's taken last year. Princeton an 11-10 overtime victory on the road at Penn State, but Penn State won 20 of 26 at the X.
Penn State with just so much pep in the step on offense. They just look like they're 3 games into their season.
Aquino against Spies, gets it up top. Lehman split dodge, top shelf, and the Nittany Lions have an early 4-1 lead. Fourth different goal scorer for Penn State here in the first quarter.
And a crafty goal for the junior. Split dodge up top. Could have been a penalty around the head here. Take a look again. Stick gets a little bit high. And he crosses it over.
The junior who started the back half of last season for Princeton once Jack Stahl moved to long stick midfield. Looking for the cutter out in front. Iantuano works it up top. Here's Considine trying to play the two-man game back to Aquino with 25 on the shot clock. Aquino against Kistler. That's the matchup we expected to see. Actually, that's Stahl still. 10 on the shot clock. Let's see what they do. There's a shot and finally a clean save. And Princeton trouble clearing it. Iantuano, the freshman, scoops up the ground ball, bounces it home. And the Nittany Lions have an early 4-goal lead.
Iantuano takes advantage of the pass by Craddock into traffic. Craddock would love to have that pass back. That is not the clearing pass Princeton needs, and they're going to need a timeout. Down 4 to the Penn State Nittany Lions.
For the Nittany Lions, a different look as we get our first look at Liam Matthews, 51, the redshirt sophomore on attack. Ontario native who was on the All-Big Ten freshman team last year, missed the first game, coming back from an off-season injury.
I mean, this is the perfect formula for Penn State early in this game. Dominate possession, keep the ball away from the Princeton offense, and keep on scoring.
Wahlstrom for the second time starts below goal line extended, comes topside, turns the corner and beats Craddock. 5-goal lead for Penn State here on the road.
And the other part, as we talked about, a young defense, relatively speaking, for Princeton. The slide is just not there. He beats him pretty early. The slide has got to be there. There's got to be some trap.
Penn State, it's a small sample size, but this is an area they'd like to work on. Just 1 for 3 in the man up. Scored on their lone opportunity in that overtime loss against Villanova last week, and of course it was Aquino. So keep an eye on 23 here on the man up. It was 2-0 Nittany Lions. Wade got one back on the Tigers' first settled possession, and since then it's been all Penn State. Tried the pass through traffic. Princeton knifed it down, but it ends up in the back of the cage, and let's see who gets credit for this one. 21, Luke Wahlstrom was in the vicinity. Either way, it's a man-up goal, and it's a 6-goal lead on the road for the Nittany Lions.
Ferrone tries to get it through.
That might have been
Finn Fox.
Finn Fox, 17, I think so.
You want to keep your stick up in the passing lane, and that's just bad luck for the Princeton Tigers.
Wade. Princeton, there's a formula. Coulter Mackesy, as a freshman, played midfield, then they slot him down to attack. Peter Bonanno, last year as a freshman, played midfield, now slides in on that lefty attack spot. Burns, extra pass, Kabiri, top shelf, stings it. Those two have been playing together since high school, and you can tell the chemistry they have.
Yeah, they started together at Georgetown Prep and then started from day one here as Princeton Tigers, and this is what Kabiri does so well. And basically, he had to kind of share the set shooter role with Coulter Mackesy for the past few years. This year, he has 1 save today. Princeton has hit the side of the cage more than Preston Hawkins has saves. You need to test a freshman goaltender, and you need shots on cage.
Preston Hawkins got the opening day nod, won the goaltending battle in training camp, went down to that last scrimmage for them against Army. You put him out there, first career start, true freshman, day 1, inside Haluba Hall, where the entire building's just kind of wrapped in a white tarp, so that's a terrible background against that white ball. And top it off against a Colgate team that was the 4th highest scoring offense in the country. Turning the corner and getting Penn State back on the scoreboard is Iantuano, who's got his 2nd. 4th of the season for the freshman from Maryland.
Great job by Iantuano, taking advantage of the defender tripping over the back of the cage. Just a great job of realizing that Spieth had fallen, and then when he realized it, the quickness to get above goal line extended, and the Niff to just get the top of that stick on the ball and send it into the snowbank.
Penn State's got 8 goals on 19 total shots against Craddock, who's on the Tewaaraton preseason watch list. Last year was the Ivy League Goalie of the Year and an honorable mention All-American. He had a great first season starting for Princeton.
Aquino's got the short stick matchup.
And some space as he attacks from the top of the box through traffic. Carragher slinged it inside arm, saved by Craddock. Penn State resets. There's a shot, and they go low for the goal. Michael Ferrone, the redshirt senior, gets into the scoring column, and it's the largest lead for the Nittany Lions.
Missed all of last year with an injury, and I was watching him in pregame warm-ups, as I said earlier, and he's got a smooth shot. And the greatest part is the timing. Craddock was outside of the cage trying to chase the ball, gets in, was unable to really get set.
Running out of the box, Palumbo head of steam, draws the slide, and he'll curl out into the alley.
Again, it's that balance of patience and sense of urgency, but preseason midfielder of the year, guy, when he gets rolling downhill, is hard to stop. Would have liked to see Palumbo just run right at the cage there and let one fly.
So impressive. Penn State didn't have numbers, but still got the slide to Palumbo.
Yeah, but Palumbo can fight through that too. And I think that not only might get one on the scoreboard, but sends a message to his team about how they need to play lacrosse.
Dunphy, short stick over to Kabiri, somehow found the angle and sneaks it in for a Princeton goal. Second of the day, and the Tigers' third goal comes with 28 seconds to go here in the first half.
Beautiful quick stick by Kabiri, climbs the ladder a little bit. You see Dunphy throws it across the cage, and didn't take much for Kabiri to get his second goal of the day. A big one for Princeton as they look to eat into this lead before halftime.
Lone first-year starter on defense for Penn State. Hawkins had a quiet first half. Just 2 saves over the first 30 minutes. They'd love to get him some confidence. That was one of the question marks. Who would the goalie be after they graduated 3-year starter All-American Jack Frassian, Big Ten Specialist of the Year 2 years ago. Hawkins got the opening day start, got pulled early on after allowing 4 goals on the first 5 Colgate shots, but they put him right back out there. Downhill dodge, and there's Aquino once again, who opened the scoring back in the first quarter, and he gets Penn State up 10-3.
Great job by Aquino of just taking what the defense gives him, which is really a clear lane towards the crease. You cannot let 6'5", 205 run without contact right in front of him. Stick checks to the side, that's not going to do it. And you can see how they've given up 3 to what, and again, you can throw out preseason accolades once the whistle blows, but what's thought to be one of the most powerful offensive units in the country. They've given up 3 goals through almost 3 quarters. Now, I don't think that's all because you go from inside a bubble to outside, but Penn State, they are on a roll defensively, and this bodes really well for them as they head into the meat of their season in the Big Ten schedule.
Princeton last year just shy of 14 goals per game. That was 7th best in the nation. They graduated 1 starter. Now, asterisk there, it was Coulter Mackesy, who was the number 4 PLL draft pick and the Tigers' career goal scorer. We've seen that before. Nate Kabiri connecting with Colin Burns, and the Tigers finally back on the scoreboard here in the second half.
Well, Cody, normally we say that in jest, right? That Burns and Kabiri have been playing together since middle school. But as the rest of this offense still clearly needs to find their that they desperately need to take advantage of as Bonanno gets it to Kabiri.
And on the man up, no changes. Actually, there's one change. Jake Vana out there, number 36.
Got to stay active in the crease to give the outside shooter some room. Keep an eye on Kabiri. He's going to move inside to out, and Palumbo gets his.
Patient on the man up for the Tigers, and Chad Palumbo finally checking into the scoring column. And Princeton back within 5.
And you saw Coulter Mackesy. He likes a lefty shot from that side of the field. We saw that, I don't know, 100,000 times.
Lefty shot, time, space, drop down a little bit.
I mean, there should be a plaque on that little square foot of turf. You know, a 5-goal lead seems surmountable, you know, sometimes when it's 20-15. It seems like a lot bigger of a lead when you're asked to double your goal tally on the day, to go from 5 to 10, right? It does seem more daunting. Not every 5-goal lead is the same, but Princeton has got to chip away and make it more realistic early in this fourth quarter to get momentum and belief on their side.
Yeah, if Princeton can capitalize here, they'd have some momentum for the first time all day. Bonanno over to Dunphy, save. Another point-blank stop by the true freshman Preston Hawkins.
I mean, it's tough to say who's been best on the defensive side of the ball. You could say it's Alex Ross on close defense, but it's tough to surpass what Hawkins has done as Bonanno gets on the board.
Back-to-back goals for the Tigers, and that 7-goal deficit all of a sudden whittled down to 4. It's a 10-6 contest. Bonanno's got his first of the day.
And you love the celebration. That's what you want to see, to pump up the crowd. The alums love it, and that's what Bonanno brings to that left-handed attack.
All Princeton clearing. Back into Palumbo as they sub the top midfield line on. Green off to the bench along with Stahl. Tucker Wade joining the fray as Bonanno goes to work. Bonanno, the reigning Ivy League Rookie of the Year, up top. Here's Wade. Left side with a head of steam, turned aside by Hawkins. Huge second half of the true freshman, but Kabiri comes away with the loose ball.
Amazing for Kabiri to come out with that clean.
Tucker Wade back to work. Swim dodge, goes low and scores. 3 in a row for the orange and black, and all of a sudden it's a 3-goal contest. Second of the day for Tucker Wade.
All right, that's the one where I think you start seeing the fans on their feet, and you really start to say this is a new ball game, right? 3 in a row, you're getting the belief, you're getting the momentum. Tucker Wade with good patience, he avoids one stick check and then realizes how.
Victory inside Haluba Hall against Colgate, and then an overtime loss last week against now-ranked Villanova. 25 on the shot clock, curling back inside. Carragher. Now Iantuano, the freshman, already with 2 goals today, hangs on. Iantuano gets the screen below goal line extended, comes topside, up top. Aquino can't handle it cleanly. Kistler jousting at him, but he'll carry it into the midfield with 5 to shoot. Penn State's got to get a shot off, or Carragher can't get the hands free. With 1 second on the shot clock, goes top shelf and scores. What an individual effort by Patrick Carragher to get one back.
Princeton did a great job defensively for 79 seconds. And even here, you thought, no way. And he beats Croddick high to high. And that erases so much momentum for the Tigers, because look at how Penn State reacts. You don't care how cold it is, you're just happy it's dry.
Penn State now 15 for 16 clearing this afternoon.
Aquino taking his time against Kistler behind the cage.
Essentially 5-on-5 here, as you've got a couple of... Nope, they got him off the field. Here's Aquino trying to roll back in against Kistler. Pass elevated nearly out of bounds, but Wallstrom able to pull it down. Defended by Cooper Miller. Now here's Aquino, gets free, turns the corner, comes topside, and somehow finds some daylight to beat Croddick. Hat trick for Hunter Aquino, the sophomore out of Easton, Pennsylvania.
What an answer by Penn State with 2 quick goals after the run by Princeton. And it doesn't take much for 6'5" to get above goal line extended. He goes backwards, and I guess it's a beach day here in New Jersey as he's
play here on the road against the number 3 ranked Princeton Tigers.
And with, you know, still almost a minute on the shot clock, they can really start to work this down. And 1 more goal, and you think this thing is iced if it's not already.
The Tigers, we talk about how tough it is when you're a couple of weeks behind the rest of the country. Princeton's won 13 straight season openers. That streak in danger here today with under 4 minutes to go.
And that streak's gotten harder in the last few years with how how the schedule has changed.
Absolutely. Here's Considine. Flips it in, shot on the move, and that'll probably do it from Liam Matthews with a tough angle.
How about the accuracy from Liam Matthews? Seen it a couple times today. Look at the nifty stick work. Switches it, shoots with the left hand, but really over the right shoulder. Perfectly placed to the lower right corner. Croddick cannot keep up. Croddick